I have to say I'm kind of disappointed in you guys. I expected a lot more from you. I really, really did. I don't know where you went wrong. Roll the footage. Hey, what's up, Slunts Joker here. Today I wanted to clear the air with some people about DirectX 12 and exactly what it's going to be and what it's going to mean for people with multiple GPUs, because I see a lot of activity going down in the comments below on my videos, on other people's videos like Jay's 2 Cents and Paul's Hardware, and on Twitch. Like I was watching Awesome Hardware last night with Paul and Kyle from Awesome Sauce Network. And there was so much misinformation going on in the chat about, DirectX 12 and how video memory is going to be stacking with DirectX 12. It's like, oh, don't worry about it. Your two 980s are going to stack soon and you'll be able to run GTA 5 fine. It's like, no, you don't understand. And that's what I'm going to try to explain today. I want to clear the air about some of the things surrounding DirectX 12, starting right off with the most important thing about video memory and video memory stacking in DirectX 12. Now, unfortunately, some people actually believe that video memory stacks already as it is, even with DirectX 11. I can't tell you how many times I've seen people come to me and say, oh, well, I'm getting AMD cards for Crossfire because they stack video memory on AMD, but NVIDIA doesn't. No. Video memory just does not stack. If you, on DirectX 11, DirectX 10, 8, 10.1, whatever, it does it 11.1, even with Windows 8.1 update, or even the Windows 10 update, don't worry about it. Your video memory is not going to stack on AMD or NVIDIA, whether you're running a Crossfire or an SLI setup with 2, 3, 4 cards, or even a dual chip card like a 690 or a 295X2. Your video memory is not stacking. What your video memory is going to be defined by what one of those processors is. So if you have two GTX 980s like I do in my system, you have 4 gigabytes of video memory. And the reason for that is that the way SLI works is that it uses something called alternate frame rendering. So basically that means, let's just in layman terms, let's say one card is basically rendering all of the odd numbered frames, and then we have the other 980 that's rendering all the even numbered frames. So what they're basically doing is they're rendering one frame ahead all the time, constantly. They're always rendering just the next frame ahead and trying to stay in sync, and that's how the SLI works. Each graphics card is rendering each frame individually, and then they're putting those together hopefully in an ideal situation, a seamless stream where you're getting a smooth gaming experience. Some people talk about micro stutter with SLI. That could be because those frames didn't sync up properly, and that could happen for any number of reasons. It could just be a bad drive or a poorly optimized game, or maybe your CPU is not fast enough, because having a CPU overclocked and running at a high enough speed in order to keep up with these frames going back and forth is also important. I'll actually link you to a GeForce article below. It's about an introduction to SLI, and it explains all of this stuff, maybe a lot better than even I could. But let's, getting back to, how SLI works. Basically, it's altering the frames back and forth. That's just how it works. And so each video card has 4 gigabytes of video memory that it can only use on its own for that one frame that it's rendering, and they go back and forth, just like that. But with DirectX 12, what they're looking to do is, since it's going to be a low overhead API similar to Mantle. See, Mantle actually, since it is a low overhead API, just like DirectX 12 is going to be when it finally does release, Mantle technically supports this type of scaling right now. Mantle technically could have 2 AMD graphics cards in Crossfire with the video memory stacked together. It could do that. But the problem is that the games need to support it, and it needs to be optimized for it within the drivers and by the game developers themselves. That's why, maybe a game like Battlefield, EA or DICE, they could have made it so that since it supports Mantle, that it would have stacked video memory, but they're not doing that yet. It's just not supported yet. So this really is what brought me to making this video today, is because some people are saying, oh, you may only have 4 gigabytes of video memory now to run, GTA 5 at 4K, but just wait a few months, DirectX 12 will be out, and then you'll be running it with 8 gigs of video memory. No. No, guys, that's not how it's going to work. In order for the video memory to stack, the games are going to have to support it, which means that they're going to have to be DirectX 12 games. The possibility of it being backwards compatible with the title would be a massive undertaking. Basically, for example, on GTA 5, Rockstar would have to go back in, rework the engine to work with the brand new low-level API of DirectX 12, not DirectX 11 like it was already written on. And that would just be a massive undertaking, and the possibility of a developer going back and doing that is pretty much slim to none. It's probably more likely that I'm going to fit comfortably into a movie theater seat than it is for Rockstar to go back and to make GTA 5 DirectX 12 compatible in that sort of way. It's just not going to happen. So do not expect your video memory to just start stacking magically the moment that DirectX 12 is released. The games are going to have to support it. They're going to be new games that are coming out, hopefully maybe with like Unreal Engine 4, because Unreal Engine 4 has adopted DirectX 12 as its standard. So when we start seeing Unreal Engine 4 games rolling out, maybe hopefully later this year or in 2016, that's going to become a possibility. And we're probably going to need that extra video memory for games like that, because they look absolutely mind-blowing. Some of the best textures I've ever seen in game, and the shaders and all that stuff. So it's going to be really exciting to see how far the boundaries of games can get pushed now, with the video memory being able to stack on future games. Future games is the keywords there. Future games, not current games. It's going to be new games in the future. So I just hope that clears that little bit of mix-up that I see so much in the comments on YouTube. And hopefully people can stop spreading misinformation. And if you see anyone spreading misinformation, then you can go ahead and you can correct them, because I'm sick of seeing people being wrong. Correct them, tell them they're wrong, maybe direct them back to this video so they can get a little bit of education in their lives and find out how DirectX 12 is actually going to work. Alright, so the next thing that I wanted to clear up about DirectX 12 is a lot of people seem to think that you're going to need to buy new hardware. A lot of people think you're going to need to have a 900 series NVIDIA card or higher when those eventually come out, or you're going to need to have the 300 series AMD cards. Now, what they have gone and said so far is that to fully support DirectX 12, fully the keyword there, in order to fully support the DirectX 12 features, you are going to need a 900 series NVIDIA card. Now, that's for NVIDIA specifically. AMD has yet to put out a card that is going to be, fully supporting the DirectX 12 features. But I think the 300 series is pretty much going to be coming fairly soon, probably like June or something like that. I think is the month a lot of people are targeting and saying that the 300 series cards are going to be announced and start rolling out. But for right now, for NVIDIA anyway, they're saying you need to have a 900 series card for the full features, and they've been very vague about what that actually means. But they have gone ahead and confirmed that DirectX 12's most basic features will be working on older graphics cards. As recently, they ran the Star in a demonstration to test DirectX 12 versus Mantle, an AMD versus NVIDIA sort of. They ran a Star Swarm demo over at Anantech, and I will put the numbers on the screen here so that you can see them. And if I can find my notepad, I'll actually try to read the stats off to you so I can sound like I'm super smart and saying this off the top of my head. But I actually have it written down in a notebook. All right, so in the Star Swarm benchmark, they tested a variety of cards. The only ones I'm going to bother mentioning here are the 290X and the 980, because those ones seem the most relevant to me. But the rest of the stats they're going to be there on your screen with the Anantech benchmark graph that they were kind enough to publish and allow us to use here. So the GTX 980 running on standard DirectX 11 got 26.7 average frames per second in the Star Swarm benchmark. When they bumped it up to DirectX 12, it went all the way up to 66.8. That's a massive, that's a huge performance gain. You're looking at almost triple the average frame rate just by switching over to the low overhead API of DirectX 12, because that's freeing up a lot more space on the CPU, because it's not taxing the CPU as much to be doing all those DirectX 11 computations. It's now being able to handled by the GPUs, which can do it a hell of a lot faster. And just because of the low overhead API, it's seeing those huge gains. Over on the 290X, they also tested that, was getting actually only 8.3 frames per second on DirectX 11. So that's pretty much just not even watchable at that point. But with the DirectX 12, it was actually able to bump all the way up to 42.9, which is a nice gain, a huge gain there. But, you know, not as much as we saw like with the 980. The 980 got all the way up to 66.8. So there's like about a 20 or so, 25 frame or so gap between the 290X and the 980. Which I think is a little bit more of a difference than I would expect to see between those two cards on certain games, and especially since this benchmark was more or less engineered for AMD. You know, I don't know what that's going to say going forward, because you have to remember Windows 10 is very early in development. DirectX 12 is still early in development, so you know you should kind of take these numbers with a grain of salt and expect these, you know, to change over time. But it looks like, at least for now, anyway, NVIDIA is kind of ahead of AMD in regards to DirectX 12 specifically. So the last thing I want to touch on today is regards more or less to software. It has been confirmed that you are going to need Windows 10 in order to run DirectX 12. That's just the fact of the matter. That's what it is. You know, Microsoft owns DirectX 12, and if they want everyone to have Windows 10 for whatever reason, then they're probably going to get their way, and people are going to wind up upgrading to Windows 10. And I honestly don't know why you wouldn't, unless you just really are afraid of change, like some of those people that are still on like Windows 7 and Windows XP and going all the way back. I'm sorry, I don't get you people. I don't understand it. Maybe you could explain to me down in the comments below. I like to update and be on the latest, you know, operating systems and the latest drivers and updating and things like that, and I don't understand people that don't. Even some people that I know that don't update their video drivers. Like, what are you thinking? Why would you not update your video drivers? In a lot of cases, you're going to get better performance. But I do understand an operating system is kind of a big leap forward. It's something you use and interact with every day, and having to make that change is definitely can be difficult. I know going from Windows 7 to Windows 8, it was kind of challenging at first. Thankfully, I got a program very early on after getting Windows 8 called Start Is Back, which is absolutely fantastic. And I actually hope that they have it supported in Windows 10 as well, because I would prefer to use this over whatever they're going to introduce in Windows 10 from what I've seen so far in regard to the start menu. But that's getting, you know, that's getting a little off topic. But Windows 10, it's going to be a free update to everyone, and it's going to be required to run DirectX 12. So if you're going to want to take advantage of that and play DirectX 12 games, then you're going to have to not really even pony up, I would say, because it's not going to cost you a dime. Even pirates, people that have torrented copies of Windows, will be able to upgrade to Windows 10 for free. So it's free for everyone, and that might be a sign of maybe they're doing something kind of shifty in the background there. Still don't know yet, just kind of speculation, tinfoil hat, you know, type of speculation there. But hopefully, you know, Microsoft actually has good intentions by giving Windows 10 to everyone. I don't know. You know, stranger things have happened. But that's going to wrap it up for this video about DirectX 12. I hope I did clear the air about some of these rumors that I see a lot of misinformation being spread around, you know, in comments and on forums. A lot of people just saying some stupid shit that doesn't line up at all with the information that we have. The information's out there. It's in articles on many websites. It's been discussed on websites like Extreme Tech and Wired and PC Gamer and pretty much every tech and like PC gaming website you can think of. So the information is out there. It's no state secret. It's just, you just need to get out there and read it and stop regurgitating what you're hearing on the forums from other idiots that don't read websites or listen to knowledgeable people on YouTube like myself. But that is going to wrap it up for the video, guys. I hope you did enjoy it. If you did, and if you learned something today, please do stick a like on the video. I would appreciate it. It does support me and help out a lot. Subscribe if you're not already, and if you want to keep up to date with what I'm doing or help contribute ideas for future videos, you can always do that on Facebook and Twitter at Joker Slumped. I'll catch you guys next time. Turn up.